Hey guys, I'm back with another video and we're gonna kick off our top 10 or top whatever worst and best type of videos that we tend to do towards the end of the year for 2022. And I'm always conflicted of doing like the top whatever worst candles of any company just because I feel like it kind of throws around like excess negativity that I kind of don't want to like put out on my channel anymore. But at the same time, it is still like honesty and constructive criticism. And also, as you guys know, I rarely ever get any PR. I'm not a brand ambassador. I don't get any kickback or commissions or any affiliate codes, this, that, or the other. That just simply doesn't happen with me. And brands don't love partnering with me because I'm just very brutally honest. So you guys know I buy these candles with my own friggin' money. And so you put in the orders, you have to go off blind orders with especially HomeWorx, wait for the orders to come in and like, you know, spending your money on it, doing the tracking and the whole like process that it takes to get the candles to you. You do have a certain like point of expectation versus free candles that just get dropped off at your door for free and they just magically show up. The experience once again is going to be very different. And so for that point of view, and much of my audience who are not influencers or ambassadors, you feel my pain there in terms of buying these candles, spending the money, especially with HomeWorx.shop. The purchases are final, and so you cannot get a refund or any kind of like, exchange situation like you do at BBW. So it's even more like pertinent, I guess, to put out content that's more constructive. And if there is a candle that really didn't perform to your expectations, at least it's still helpful to the community as a whole in terms of being able to like manage your expectations or get a little bit more information or education as to how the candle might perform in the event that you're interested in buying them for next year or years to come or whatever it is. So I guess there is still some type of like educational or constructive value to content like this that involves like the top whatever worst or disappointing candles. And so we will do our top 8 worst HomeWorx candles of 2022 or most disappointing, however you want to phrase it. Not to kick HomeWorx like while they're down, but just as a side note, I'm not like super involved in this because I'm not like connected with like the HomeWorx influencer network or anything like that. And I really just rarely ever purchase from HomeWorx.shop because they're mostly blind purchases and there's no refunds or exchanges or anything like that. So I don't really purchase from HomeWorx.shop, but apparently there's a huge shipping drama and fiasco going on right now. And there's like being emails sent out and all this kind of stuff. And people, I guess, are still waiting on like 3 or 4 week orders, or some people just get like one, like the free body care item in their package and not the rest of the candle order. But they're still charging everybody for it. And like, I guess customer service is very like spotty in the sense that it's email only. And they might take a while. And there was some supposed alleged hacking of the shipping distribution company. I don't know. There's so much into it that I'm not really super aware of. That just be very wary of, I guess, buying from a HomeWorx.shop because you don't know if your order is going to come in and we don't know when they're going to like fix all the shipping issues. I don't really have too much information on that. It's just like every time I do an Instagram live, I'm like flooded with information and complaints from them. And I completely understand because like as consumers, we still want to feel seen and heard when it comes to like issues like that, regardless of whether it's shipping or quality issues, especially when a company kind of like always sweeps it under the rug and doesn't actually address it. Like you get even more frustrated as a consumer because you're not feeling like you're being heard or seen in any kind of way. And what as humans do we want the most? To be seen and heard. And so of course it's really rough when a company doesn't truly address those issues. So I understand it. But that's the thing with HomeWorx.shop, and that's why it's kind of like kicking them while they're down. But like, you know, we still spend our hard-earned money on this, and when you buy a product, you expect it to come to you in a timely fashion and all that kind of stuff. But yes, so I really don't do too much HomeWorx.shop shopping, but I still do get quite a bit of them from QVC because you can still do like returns or exchanges on that. And you can also find some of these at TJ Maxx, HomeGoods, Marshall stores where they are a little bit more affordable, and you can also smell them up front before having to commit to buying them and not having to pay shipping and all that kind of stuff. So I still have a sizable amount of HomeWorx purchases. And without further ado, we'll get into the top 8 worst HomeWorx candles of 2022. So the first one we have is probably the most not the most disappointing, but this is more in the disappointing route than like the fragrance is being bad. The fragrance is fine. It is Cool Winter Day from the Hobnail duo that came from QVC. And this is Crisp Air Fir Balsam, White Cedar, and Eucalyptus. Not only that it's just like soot like crazy, and it's like really hard to get even wax pull without just completely like covering your walls in soot. This is just a repackage of Mountain Air, and this is kind of like the, I guess, symbolic or the placeholder for all the deceptive repackages that HomeWorx has been doing recently. That was something that I never really did because, you know, we have expressed our frustration with BBW doing the deceptive repackaging thing, but they have really dove into this deceptive repackaging, renaming thing this year. But I think they've in some instances, they will say that it's a repackage of something on their own website, but if it shows up at QVC or TJ Maxx or Marshalls, like they don't necessarily put it in the description that it is a repackage of something. But like the raspberry Linzer cookie was just vanilla currant biscotti. There was the vanilla spice and everything nice fragrance was actually the spiced balsam fragrance, which was under the river and over the woods or whatever it's called. That thing, like there's been a lot of like weird deceptive repackaging where it's like one fragrance or it would be swapped from a fragrance that was something completely different before, or that Woodland Trail thing, which was a completely different fragrance than the Hobnail one, but then the new version with the red wraparound label is a totally different fragrance. Apparently the second version of Pumpkin Woods is not the same as the first one. Like just crazy like repackaging and renaming that is going on a lot. And I guess from a marketing standpoint, they do that to try to like give a fragrance a second wind, or I don't know, maybe just pure laziness, or just whoever's like typing up the names and whatever just doesn't realize it was a repackage. I don't really know what the rhyme or reason is, but at least with BBW, I know it is a marketing tactic in terms of like, we have a fragrance, how can we market it in the best way possible to get it to sell the most? And notes and naming and mood most certainly has something to do with that, so they will repackage a fragrance in multiple different names until it finally hits a name that resonates with consumers. So that's kind of why I know BBW does it. HomeWorx, not quite sure, probably somewhere loosely along those lines, but in any case, yeah, this was just freaking Mountain Air, and it was just super disappointing, especially because, you know, this is a QVC purchase, so if you had purchased this online and got it to you, it's like, well, what the heck, this is just Mountain Air that I already had before. I think with HomeWorx, the deceptive repackaging and renaming stings even more because returns are much harder. You can't just breeze into a store and exchange it. And because so much of it are online blind purchases and you just don't know until you go to buy it. Especially because there isn't just like the avid reviewing community of HomeWorx here on YouTube to be able to like, you know, point out if something's a repackage or not. So this was just like I guess this was disappointing as well, but so are all the other deceptive renamings that happened at HomeWorx. So that was cool winner date right there. The next one we have is Harvest Donut. This one was just super disappointing too. This was from HomeWorx.shop. It previously had the cheap plastic lids on it, but those just drive me nuts. So when I have extra ones of the chrome lids, I will swap them out and put them on here, and it looks so much nicer. So it just like soothes my soul that this has a chrome lid on it. This is Fresh Pumpkin Donut, Accord Ginger, and Clove. I have finished this one right here. Like lighter to medium throw. This just did not at all like give me what I was hoping for. Like you would think pumpkin and donut, it would be like along the lines of like pumpkin sugar donut from BBW, which was friggin' excellent, or like a cinnamon sugar donut or their hot cider donut mixed with an awesome juicy creamy pumpkin. It just kind of wasn't. It just kind of fell flat, and it was just nowhere near as good as, it wasn't quite as greasy and cinnamony as hot cider donut, but it was similar to hot cider donut and just a very like bland cake donut fragrance. It was just like a watered down, weaker, less juicy hot cider donut, and it just kind of didn't do it for me, especially because this just had so much promise of like being a juicy pumpkin donut. I kind of had to burn this with the either Harvest Bake Shop or the Farm Stand pumpkin to amp up the pumpkin to try to get a actual true pumpkin donut experience. So this just kind of really fell flat for me, so I was kind of disappointed by that, especially because this was once again a HomeWorx.shop order, which was a blind order, and just really don't know unless you actually go to buy it and burn it. Moving on was another HomeWorx.shop order. It's Mochaccino crumb cake right here, and that's what that looks like. This one is vanilla crumb cake, mocha latte, creamy caramel, and powdered sugar. This was just super disappointing too. This had like all the like elements of what could have been a great, awesome fragrance of like a realistic coffee, like brewing, roasty, bold coffee note mixed with a nice powdered sugar and cake fragrance. But this was just so freaking light, like in like the 2 range, 3 range maybe at most. It just, even now it just smells kind of waxy and just like cheap vanilla. It just doesn't smell great. It kind of just smells like a Big Lots candle or a Walmart candle. It just doesn't really smell like a quality HomeWorx candle at all to me. It was just, yeah, it was super disappointing. So Mochaccino Crumb Cake right there. Like, just the naming and the fragrance, like, this had so much potential, but it just did not live up to that. Moving on to number 5. This was, I believe, a QVC purchase, and it's Christmas morning right here, and that's what that looks like. Most of these are fall and winter because, like, I was very aware of the issues that HomeWorx had with their quality issues. They just really wasn't buying in the spring, in summertime. It wasn't kind of until these, like, started hitting TJ Maxx home goods store, and I kind of, like, started getting reintroduced to the brand again, that it also sort of, like, drifted me into seeking them out at QVC or HomeWorx.shop. So it was kind of like there aren't a whole lot of spring or summer ones in this lineup, just because I didn't really get back into HomeWorx again until the second half of the year, which is always when they like go heavy with the promotions and the holiday sales. So it kind of makes sense. But Christmas morning was rich apple butter, cinnamon sugar, warm apple brandy, and buttered vanilla. Another just completely unscented fragrance, like in the one category, just like totally unscented. It does the same like crazy sooting thing. Like these all have these like thin wicks that they don't get a controlled flame on them, and like no matter how much you trim them or don't trim them, they're just so hard to work with. They just always soot like crazy, and like despite it sooting like crazy and burning kind of hot, they just take a while to pull out. It's just not a great burning experience. You got to like really baby it, and it's just kind of annoying. But this just was completely unscented when I was burning it. It kind of just smells like the Christmas cider fragrance from BBW, which kind of smells like a mulled cider, caramel, apple type of like toddy type of fragrance. It's very similar to balsam toddy, which is also very similar to spiced buttered rum, which is also very similar to the honey glazed pear thing. It's just like the same fragrance over and over and over again, but just the most unscented version of it possible. So, and it's just nothing about it really evokes Christmas morning to me. Sometimes feel like they just kind of throw around like names in photos and notes and just like without too much rhyme or reason. So Christmas morning right there. Oh my gosh, one that was just plagued with awful, awful performance issues. Number 4 is Spooky Spider Cider, and that's what that looks like right there. This one was just, had a fun label on it, and this was the TJ Maxx Marshall's Home Goods find, so I was like, okay, let me pick it up. Orange zest, spiced golden pear, pressed green apples, and sugared ginger. It's kind of just like a apple cider fragrance that has like an orange spiced component to it. The orange zest in here is very strong, but the performance on it was just absolutely abysmal. I mean, do you see that? I mean, it just would not stay lit. I could have this going for 8 hours. It wouldn't pull out. It actually like extinguished itself after some time, and it's just like the most tunneling they could ever imagine. Just like absolutely terrible. And as a result, the fragrance just wasn't really strong. So yikes, this was just like bad all around. The fragrance was all right, but kind of generic. And then just the performance on it was abysmal. So Spooky Spider Cider right there. Next, number 3 is, this was so disappointing too. People love this one, and this is going to be a controversial pick for this ranking, but Blueberry Friggin' Cheesecake right there. This, I believe, was a 2-pack from QVC. This is Wild Blueberry Cheesecake Accord, Blackberry Jam, and Brown Sugar Crust. I have burned this one. This one actually, thankfully, is very strong, so at least we're good to go there. We can actually smell this, but of course it's like a fragrance that I don't enjoy whatsoever. This is just like almost nearly identical to Blueberry Pumpkin from Scentworks, which I've had before. I bought for a cheaper price, could get it in Kohl's, not having to pay shipping. So then imagine my disappointment when I do pay shipping for a 2-pack on this from QVC because it was so highly praised, and it just kind of smells like a repackaged Blueberry Pumpkin. It's just, there's not enough like cream cheese and sweet blueberry jam filling on this, and it's just like, I guess the bottom crust note. But it just kind of smells like burnt popcorn kernels. Like if I were to microwave a bag of popcorn and like the leftover like buttery burnt kernels at the bottom of the bag accumulated on the bag, and I like gathered together and smelled that and put it in a candle. This is kind of what it smells like. It just literally smells like buttery popcorn kernels at the bottom of a popcorn bag, and I just really don't get a whole lot of blueberry or creamy gooiness. Like it could really just do better in terms of like the vanilla and the sweetness and the creaminess and the blueberry fragrance. It's just really not there for me. I don't really understand the appeal of this fragrance. And the more I burned it, the more like bitter and unsweet it got. And I had it going with the farm stand strawberry fragrance to try to get a strawberry cheesecake fragrance going. But this was just so overpowering on that like bitter, burnt popcorn kernel note that it was just not great for me. But at least it was strong. But this was just totally not the like awesome creamy blueberry cheesecake fragrance I was expecting. So that was number 3 on our list right here. The next one we have, it was so rancid I actually exchanged it. I don't even have it in my possession anymore, but it was Vanilla Pine, which potentially could have came out the previous year, but it was the first year I had it in the green metallic hobnail jar from QVC. Absolutely rancid. I exchanged that one. I was like, I'm not keeping this. It's so disgusting. So Vanilla Pine sounds like it would be like a nice juicy like vanilla balsam type of fragrance. And like balsam white birch is like similar to vanilla balsam from BBW. And they also have like white birch. They have vanilla woods, birchwood vanilla. They have a myriad of vanilla woodsy pine fragrances. But this just completely missed the mark. I don't know. Oh my God, it was just so nasty. I burned it I think once or twice. And it literally smelled like cucumber ranch dressing. I guess the pine note kind of translated the greenness of what like cucumber would smell like, and the creaminess of the vanilla translated into like what like the ranch dressing part would smell like, and it literally smelled like cucumber ranch dressing. It was absolutely disgusting. Oh my gosh, I don't know what went wrong with that fragrance, but that was just truly horrible on like the terms of fragrance alone. So that was number 2. Lastly, oh my gosh, it's so disappointing, was number 1 on our list is Eggnog French Toast right here. So this, I believe, also had the tiramisu fragrance in it that people were saying was completely unscented. So the unscented issues definitely still exist at HomeWorx. Like Eggnog French Toast sounds like it could be super delicious, awesome, and just delicious. But it just nothing of the sort, holiday eggnog, rum-soaked French toast, cinnamon sugar, and vanilla cream. And like with notes like that are that heavy hitting, like this should just be an awesome powerhouse fragrance. Like just literally take cinnamon French toast and shove a creamy eggnog note in it and then like call it a day. But this is just totally not it. There's like maybe like a creamy eggnog rum fragrance that I can get on cold from it. And not a whole lot of like French toast or anything of that like sort of buttery brioche toast note that comes up in cinnamon French toast. I don't really get that on cold, but when you go to burn it, this is like completely unscented, like absolutely unscented. Like I have burned the majority of this candle. I have not been able to smell this for 1 iota. Just absolutely terrible. And like this is a set of 2, so like you're kind of stuck with yet another unscented candle. Like you could burn them both at the same time, but like 2 zeros are still a 0, so like it's still gonna be a 0 throw. This just been completely unscented. On top of that, it's just like sucks like so much. Even when you trim it a lot, this is just like truly the worst experience from HomeWorx. Well, I guess the worst could be like unscented plus tunneling, but this is like unscented plus sooty AF, and just like, yeah, I can't even. Just really, like this has such the potential to be a delicious, awesome fragrance, but it just falls so flat. It just smells like cheap, waxy, like vanilla, like once again from Big Lots or Walmart or something like that. It's just truly terrible. So Eggnog French Toast right there. You really can't smell this. I can't recommend this at all. So that was that. Just super frustrating because like HomeWorx has some really good juicy fragrances, but then you're just plagued with so many unscented or super sooty ones that is just so annoying. It's like, why do you go through the effort of making a label for it and hiring and paying somebody to do the label for it, putting it on a listing on a website, like pouring the candles at a factory, like supposedly doing research and development to develop these fragrances with your fine fragrance perfumer, master perfumers, and go through that whole ordeal just to make a candle that's that weak and unscented at the very end of it. It's just like, wouldn't that aggravate you as a business owner that like you put in all this effort just to get unscented candles mass produced at a factory that don't actually provide too much like joy or service or fragrance experience for anybody? It's just so frustrating, but it is what it is. People are still buying them, so I guess it's still financially feasible. Like, sure, I'll take the hit on my reputation, but I'm still making money off of it out of selling these unscented candles to people, and especially if I put it on homeworx.shop, you can't return them or exchange them anyways, so I already have your money anyway, so I guess you're fine by that. I don't know. It's just so aggravating. It's just, I don't understand where the pride or the reputation went with the company, but I'm getting into a ranty mood right now after the aggravation of that last candle. So let me cut it off right there before I say more things. So that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts on any of these candles. If you burned them, what your top 5 10 worst HomeWorx candles were. Let me know in the comments down below, and then in the next segment we will try to do a top whatever best HomeWorx candles, because they still do have good candles, don't get me wrong, so those will be featured in the next segment. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.